FRRouting stands for free range routing. Its website is FRRouting.org, and this is maintained at GitHub, whose URL is github.com/FRRouting. Over here it has the source code. You can go there and check it out. FRRouting is extremely light on the machine. You can run it on low-end machines, and you can have one of the latest functionalities. For example, VXLANs are available, eVPN functionality is available. While on the other hand, if you are using like Cisco or Juniper, maybe you would be requiring like at least 3 GB of RAM and high on the CPU cycles as well. Another benefit of free range routing is that it supports all the major protocols. Like just I said that you can run RIP, OSPF, ISIS, BGP, BFT functionality is available, next top resolution protocol, even EIGRP is available. And not only that, just like I mentioned that VXLAN and eVPN, which are the like eVPN is one of the latest technologies being used in data centers for the connectivity of the switches, and this is implementing those technologies as per the RFC and not using any proprietary tweaks to change anything, so which is another great benefit. Okay, so now that we know what are the benefits that we can get from FRRouting, how can we do it? Well, you can use it Windows to install. Actually, we are gonna use Dockers, which is a lightweight platform to virtualize the machines. You can install Dockers in Windows, but I would really recommend to go for Linux. That you would do yourself a big favor if you install Linux. I am using Ubuntu 16.04 LTS 64-bit. It's a Debian distribution. Since I am using this, and if you are totally new to Linux, I would recommend that you use the same one. You can simply download it from ubuntu.com. Ubuntu.com, go there and look out for download section, and from there download 16.04. Then after Ubuntu, we'll be installing GNS3 on top of it. GNS3 for Ubuntu, and then we'll be installing Docker, which will be like our base program for emulating the FRR. And then once all these are installed, we'll be pulling the image, which is called as pulling the image from the Docker Hub image for FRRouting. Now my system, normally I prefer to use Linux based systems as the host system. You can also do that, but it's better that to check the things first. Even if for experienced users, I would recommend using a virtualized environment. So instead of installing Ubuntu on your host machine as a bare metal installation, it's better that even if you are using Linux or your Windows, install either VMware or VirtualBox to give you a virtualized environment. So either VMware or VBox. I have installed VBox in my host Ubuntu system, and on top of that I have installed Ubuntu. So it's really very easy. If you are really not sure how to install Ubuntu, you can check out one of the videos that I'll be putting it in the description of this video, and you can see that how you can install Ubuntu. Once your Ubuntu is installed and you log into the system, you will be presented with this kind of desktop. This file will not be there. We'll be needing it a short while. There are some commands that we need to enable Wireshark to capture packets. So this is the desktop that you will be getting. time and other settings that you can access from here. And this is interface is called as Unity. I personally don't like it because it does not give you a choice menu based at which applications are there. For you to access applications, you have to have some idea about what applications are there, and you can simply type the name then here and you can access that application. If you want to go for menu based, which is called as classic interface, there is an option which is called as falling back to the classic session. To access that, we need to install a simple package that we'll be doing in a short while. But before that, I want to tell you that once you get this interface, you can install GNS3 for Ubuntu straight away. Let me just quickly show you the architecture of this machine. So this is Linux. It is running in VirtualBox. This is the machine name that I put in. This is the kernel version, and it is 16.04 for 64-bit architecture. Now, if you want to install GNS3 straight away, you can do that, but the GNS3 version available with this version of Ubuntu is not the latest one, and it might not have all the features that we need. So to get the version, GNS3 version for this Ubuntu machine, which is more latest, and it is available from GNS3 own repositories, we are going to add a repository. It's like you can say it's like a source that will be adding in Linux, so that once we try to install GNS3, instead of using its own resource by default resource, it goes to that resource that we're going to add. So the way to do that is sudo add apt repository. Let me just clear this one. Sudo add apt repository and the repository name, which is ppa :/ppa, and press enter. You give your username and password that you created initially, and your PPA will be added. Now once I try to install GNS3 now, it will get the information from this PPA, which will be more latest as compared to the default one available with this GNS3 version, Ubuntu version. Now the thing that I talked about, that going back to the classic interface is not that difficult, but it's easy for the newcomers who are not very much aware about the program installed in the Ubuntu. The package that you would like to install is named as genome session fallback. Before doing that, update the repository by typing in sudo apt update. It will update all the repository, including the new one that we just added, and get the fetch the packages, index, build up the new index based on the information which is available on the repositories. So just wait here, let it work its own thing, which is updating its repositories. Okay, this is completed. It has brought in it has updated all its list. Now to install that program that I was talking about, you have to type sudo apt install, and the program name is genome session fallback, or it's flashback, I guess. Okay, genome session flashback. Press enter. It is saying that it is locked. If you also get this kind of error, it means that some other program has already locked it. You can simply do a remove at this particular file, which is the lock file, in var lib dpackage and log, and now try to install it. Okay, I have already installed it, so it is giving me this message that is already installed. But once you will do it for the first time, you will it will bring down some of the packages from the internet and install it. The next thing that you will be installing is the GNS3 itself. To do that, you will be doing sudo install and GNS3-GUI. To check what are the packages available, you can do double tab here as well, and also you need to put in apt. So sudo apt install GUI. Just press enter here. If you just do GNS3, it will do the default GNS3 installation which is available with this Ubuntu version. So you have to type GNS3-GUI. Press enter here and it will again bring down the packages from internet and install them for you. Mine is already installed, so it did not bring anything. It is just giving me error that it is already installed. Once this is installed, you need to reboot your machine. Rather, instead of doing that, first install Docker as well. That is also very easy. You will be doing sudo apt install and docker.io. This is the package name that you will be installing. Once your Docker is also installed, just reboot your machine. Once you reboot, let me just show you something. Once you reboot and your machine comes back up, log out. You will have this screen just like this one. So these options will not be here earlier. To get these options, you have to click this one, this sign over here, and click on this one, genome flashback metacity. Given your username and password that you set during installation, and log into the machine. And then you will see that we will have menu based options like this one. From here you can see that all things are installed here. If you go to education, you will be able to see that your GNS3 is also available. So I'm gonna go to system tools and pull up the terminal, or I can also right click here and open the terminal. Now once terminal is opened, I'm gonna check the interesting thing that I am interested in is the Docker. So Docker and let's say processes. It is giving me this permission error because once Docker is freshly installed, my user, which is Ahmed, does not have the privileges to access Docker process. To get those privileges, I'm gonna do sudo and usermod -a -g docker Ahmed, or whatever your username is. Basically, it is saying that Ahmed has been made part of the Docker group as well. So then my user will be able to access the Docker process. To run it, you will either have to log out, or maybe you will even have to reboot your machine. So I'm just gonna go log out. And then log back in. So let's log back in. Just give it a while. And now let's see if we can run Docker application. Okay, so it can. Right now there is no container available, so it is not showing me anything. If there are containers, which is like virtualized machines, you would be able to see that here. Now you need to get the FRR image. You cannot just simply download it from the internet or from the GitHub site or from the Docker hub. You will have to use the specific command, which is docker pull and the image name. Image name is FRRouting /FRR. It will pull the image directly from the Docker hub. So press enter. It is checking this. and now it is working to pull it from the hub. Okay, it has brought the image. You can check this image by typing docker images. This size is 116 megabyte, and this image is the latest one. It was created at the Docker Hub 2 days ago. See, this attribute is not the one that the value that you have put in here when you have fetched the image. No, this is the attribute which is showing you that how latest this image is at the Docker Hub itself. I'm going to pull up another image, which is Alpine Linux. It's a very lightweight Linux that you can use for your practice purposes. It has all the available or required commands that you would be needing, like telnet or SSH or interface configuration or traceroute. Now let's check the images that we have in our Docker repository. This is FRRouting and 116 megabyte, and this is Alpine Linux 5.5. My purpose to download this Alpine is, like just I said, that it is lightweight. Although GNS3 has its own virtual PCs, but you will see that virtual PCs still use some CPU percentage like 2, 3 or even 5%, but this Alpine Linux will not even be showing there. Okay, so these are done. If once you have the image, you can run it by giving the command docker run. In -d is the detached mode, and the image name that you have pulled from Docker Hub. So just press enter here, and now that image is running. How to check that image is running? Let me just make it full screen. You can type in ps or docker ps. It will show you the running images. So this is the one that we have just spinned up. It has given it a name, random name. We have not assigned this name. It has been running for 15 seconds. Now to connect to this image or to use this image, you can use the command as docker execute -it. These are the flags that you can put in, and the image name. And also you need to give it a shell. You can also type in bin shell or bin bash if it is available. I'm just typing shell. So this is the shell that will be put in once we connect to the container which we have. So over here you can just type in uname -a. This is showing you the machine name, which is the container ID here, and again it is showing you the distribution of Ubuntu that it is using, and its architecture is 64-bit. Now this is fine, you can start working on it, but once you try to import this one into GNS3 makes some changes. So we actually require to need some changes in the default image so that we don't have to do it again and again. Actually what happens is that once you are running Docker container and you close the container or shut it down, all your settings get lost. So we do not want that. We want some of the settings to be retained. So to do that, I'm gonna get out of this and I'm gonna stop this container, docker stop, and the container name. Once this is stopped, I'm gonna remove it as well. You not necessarily have to remove it, but I'm gonna do it anyway as I don't need it. So this is removed. The thing that I was talking about regarding the Wireshark is that once you install GNS3, it will ask you to install Wireshark as well, and you will do that. But most of the times, this Wireshark is unable to capture the packets because of the permission errors. To set the permissions, these are the commands that you would be needing. This is the program dump cap. I'm changing its group to Ahmed, and I'm setting these permissions and also the capabilities to this program. So just copy this one and I'm gonna put it in command line. It is asking me for my password. Just paste again. Okay, now we should be all set. So come on to here and fire up GNS3 program. You want to use the default project. I have changed the GNS3 settings. Once you will be logged in, you will be getting the default settings, which will be like this one, charcoal. But I like the default one, so I have come here and changed it to the legacy one. Okay, so to install Dockers, come on to this Docker container, click on new, and from here we are gonna go to FRRouting. Click on next. You can name it anything. Let's just say we name it GNS3. Next, number of adapters that you want, leave it 1 at the moment. You can change it as well if you want to, and just finish the process. Click apply. Okay, and come on to the devices and go to G, and we'll find our machine over here. Now run it, and you see it has already started running. Go to auxiliary console, and from here you need to make a couple of changes. First and foremost, copy a file which is in etc directory FRR, and file name is vty.shell.com.sample, and copy it in the same directory by the name of vty.shell.conf. Just this, and remove the sample one, the sample extension. Just copy this one. And the other change that you need to do is you need to enable the protocol daemons in this Docker image. They are disabled by default, and they have been left to the administrator or the engineer that they can enable whatever they want. So the file is in etc directory FRR, and the name of the file is daemons. So just bring it down. I have just typed vi. This is the Vim editor, which is you can say Linux editor which is available. Once you are into it, you cannot change anything as you are not in the editing mode. Now I want to change this value of, let's say I want to enable BGP or whatever I want to change the settings of this file. To change that file, I'm gonna press I on your keyboard, which stands for insert. Once I press I, you see that this I has popped out here, this capital I. It means now I'm in the editing mode. Now I can make the changes. I'm gonna type change here, yes, remove this no. Let's say we want to enable OSPF as well. Enable this one as well. You can enable whatever you want. I'm just quickly showing you some of the protocols, which is BGP, OSPF, ISIS, the 3 most used protocols in the industry. Now once I have made the changes, I have pressed escape key, and you see that small the capital I over here, it has vanished. It means that I have gone out of the editing mode. After that, I am pressing full colon, W, Q, and exclamation mark, write and quit, and I am out. To see our changes, I can simply do a cat and the file name, and these are the changes that we made. BGP, OSPF, and ISIS have been enabled. Now click on open up another terminal and stop this image. So docker stop and the image name, which has again been generated automatically, just stop it. And now we want actually these changes to be saved in permanently, so that once we run the container again, these changes are persistent. We do not want to make the changes again and again. Similarly, if you want some other changes in some other Docker container, whatever you want, you can make them permanent like this. So the command to do that is committing the container to the image, or converting your making a image from the container is docker and commit and the container name. Now to check the images, remember we had downloaded FRRouting and Alpine from the Docker Hub. Now we'll have another image which is named none. Okay, let's just create another one and name it, let's say GNS3, because I had not put any name, so it not give it any name, but we want to give it a name. Let's call it GNS3. And now let's check the images. And this image is there. This is that we want to use. Now come on to GNS3 and remove this machine. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to remove this template as well, because now we'll be creating our template using the image that we just created. So come on to, again, preferences, Docker container, and new. And this is the image that now we are going to use to make the machine. We can name it anything. Let's just say FRR. You can change the number of adapters to whatever you want. I'm gonna put in 8 and just finish it, apply, and OK. And now bring in the machine. You can also change the machine symbol. For example, make it, let's say, route switch processor symbol. OK. And we drag this one here. Now boot it up and connect to it. And you see I've just pressed up key and it has given me the command that we last ran on this container. It has taken that container, including the file that keeps track of the commands that you type in, and it has saved it as an image. So every time that you run this image, you will have this option available that these commands are there. And the good thing is that the changes that we made regarding the protocol daemon that should be running are already there. We don't have to edit these things again and again. Now to come to the, this is the CLI of the container. You will have to be using this CLI to make certain changes regarding the interfaces, but to run the protocols, you will be typing vty shell, and from here the commands are almost similar to what you are using on Cisco iOS platforms. So to check the interfaces, show interface. Zebra daemon is not running. Let's see, let's get out of here and do a PS to check the processes. Okay, it's not running. I'm quickly gonna, you might face the same issue. So just close this one, delete it, close GNS3, and restart GNS3. Okay. And just bring up the image again. Fire it up, connect to it, and do a PS. And now we see that we have these processes or daemons running, which is Zebra, BGP, OSPF, ISIS, and now we should be all good to go. Do a show interface, and we see that all the interfaces are available. This is the loopback interface, and we created 8 adapters starting from 0 to Ethernet 0 to Ethernet 7. Alright, so to do the configuration, similarly, just like Cisco, you can type in config T. We have OSPF and BGP and ISIS enabled, so I'm quickly gonna do put up another image here, start this one as well. And we had, you remember we had pulled up Alpine Linux as well. So let's create a container for that as well. Go to new. This is the image that we are going to use to create the container. Let's just call it Alpine. One adapter, or maybe let's say 4 adapters. Next, finish the process, apply, OK. And once you come here, you should be able to have an Alpine image as well. Let me just close this one and close this one as well. So these are 2 FRR routing based virtual machines, and these 2 are the Alpine machines. Connect these ones. Quickly, I'm just going to show you now that how you can configure and what will be the CPU usage. I'll also show you that. So once they are connected, I'm already connected to FRR1 image. Let's just quickly do configuration. Simple configuration, giving IP address to loopback interface 1.1.1.1/32. And the good thing is that you don't have to type in 255.255.255 and all that every now and then. And on interface Ethernet 0, which is the interface connecting the 2 FRR machines, I'm going to type in IP address 10.1.1.1/30. Let's just spin off OSPF process, and let's enable it on all the interfaces and put them in area 0. That's it. All the configuration is done regarding OSPF on FRR1 machine. Now do the same on FRR2 machine. We just confirmed that all the required processes are running. Now every time you run the GNS3 and you pull up this FRR image, these daemons will be running. If we had not done like creating our own image, the image that was already running, we created an image from that, you would have to make the file changes again and again whenever you run the image here, and they will not even be persistent. So this is will be easier for you. Now go into that vdevice shell, go into configuration mode, interface, loopback, IP address 1.1.1.2/32, go into interface Ethernet 0 and give it the IP address as well. Similarly, just like the other machine, we enabled OSPF process over here as well. I'm gonna enable OSPF process and put it in area 0. Now to check, I can type in do show IP OSPF interfaces, and I see that it is enabled on Ethernet 0 and loopback 0. And if there is any adjacency that has come up, I can check by typing in neighbors, and we see that indeed adjacency has been brought up with the other neighbor whose neighbor ID is the loopback IP address. It is in full state, and if I type in do show IP route, I should be able to see the loopback IP address of FRR1, which it is. I can ping it as well. Do ping 1.1.1.1, and I am able to ping it. Now we have enabled just OSPF protocol. Now just quickly enable ISIS as well on both the FRR machines. So router ISIS1, and this is the network identity. Make it, let's say, private. Over here I'm gonna give it segment ID as 2, net selector value 0, and enable it on interfaces loopback 0 IP router ISIS1, and similarly on Ethernet 0 IP router ISIS1. Same thing goes on to FRR1, router ISIS1, and select network entity is 49.0000.0000. I am going to use the same value except the last one, that it is belonging, these two FRR belonging to the same area, but have just this segment IZ as a different one, which will differentiate that these two are different entities. Going into loopback interface and enabling ISIS process onto that, and similarly for Ethernet interface. And if I check now do show ISIS interfaces, we see that it is enabled on both these interfaces. And if I check show ISIS neighbors, we see that we have indeed formed a neighbor relationship with FRR2. The two entries are there because it has enabled relationship on level 1 number 1 and level 2, both levels. And now if I check do show IP route, the route table, I see that I'm learning routes via OSPF and via ISIS as well. We are here. These are the like local routes, so not this one, rather this one. This is via ISIS, but its preference value is 115, which is higher than OSPF, so this route is not selected. As you can see, this is not selected and this has not been pushed into the FAB ISIS based because its preference value is 115 as compared to 110 of OSPF. Lower the number, higher the preference value. Similarly, you can configure BGP as well. This video has already taken a long time. I'm not going to configure that. It's very similarly just like Cisco. It's really easy. Now the thing that I wanted to show you regarding the CPU, if I type in top command on your host machine, it is showing showing you the CPU value. So nothing is being used, just not even 1%. You can see that nothing over here as such, which is hogging up your CPU. Let's just quickly show you something. Let's just bring in some of these devices and fire them up just to see how much CPU it takes. Okay, these are there. Let's quickly turn them all up. If they are running, let's check. The following summary. Okay, they are all running. Alpine Dockers are not running. We can run them as well. It's not a problem. Let's select this one and or just click here and it will make all of them running. So all of them are running. Now come on to the host and see what are the CPU usage, and you see that nothing. It's not even 2-3%. And the other day I checked this that I had put in the 20 FR machines here, just like now, and I had connected them in full mesh fashion. I had run OSPF on all 20 of them. I had run ISIS in parallel to OSPF just like we did now. And I also ran BGP on all 20 of them. And the CPU utilization was hardly 5 to 7%. So as I said, that it's a very good facility that you can use to practice your concepts. It's not any vendor specific, although the command line is very similar to Cisco. So Cisco guys who are experienced with Cisco, it would be easy for them to work on it. They will already be feel like accustomed to the environment. So do give it a try, and I'm sure you will like it. Thanks for watching the video.